So this had to be one of the weirdest, iciest, coldest, pettiest interactions I've ever seen at a state funeral. Some of you, I'm sure, watched late President Jimmy Carter's funeral on television. I know I did, not the entire thing because it was super long. But I like watching state funerals only because I love to hear the tributes to the fallen person. And not only that, I like to see the interactions between the former presidents, and this year was no exception. All of the living presidents were there, and of course Donald Trump, who was the incoming president, he was there as well, along with his wife Melania. And I was just sitting there watching, and I was like, what in the Addams family is going on here? It just seems so weird and hostile and petty. I almost said unprofessional, and maybe it was unprofessional too, but really, really petty. And so I'm going to play the video, the part that I definitely watched that kind of just made me go, come on guys, you got to be a little bit better than this. And some of them were better than this, but let's just take a listen. I'm going to play it, and I'm going to be stopping and giving my commentary. This is a reaction video, so just be prepared for that. And welcome to the channel, by the way. My name is Roganna. If you guys don't know, this is Bahamian Gyal. Please excuse me, I'm getting over a bad cold. Let's go. So we see Donald Trump and Melania Trump entering, and then we see Al Gore standing up, and Pence, who is Trump's former vice president. He stands up and he shakes the hand. Now, let me stop right there, because he shook. You know, Pence has gone through a lot with Trump over the past few years. Those two have had a very icy relationship, but I was very pleased to see them at least shaking hands and at least trying to appear cordial. And it seems like he shook Melania's hand as well. Who didn't shake their hands was his wife, Karen Pence. You see her sitting there with the black hair and the somber expression. I was disappointed in that. I really was. And I didn't think this was a good move for her or a good look for her. For her to sit there and not at least extend a handshake to the incoming president or his wife. I thought that was very, very rude, to be honest with you, and tacky. And it really made her look bad, because nobody has probably gone through it like her husband has. And for her to just sit there like that, if he was decent enough to stand up and shake the hand, I think she should have been decent enough to shake their hands as well. And you're going to see how she reacts to everybody else who walks in. I thought that was really tacky. I really loved seeing President Obama sitting here chatting with President Trump, incoming President Trump. I thought this was really cool. These are two men who have had a storied history as well, and yet they could at least put their differences aside for this moment. And I think this is one of the reasons why I really do like and respect Obama. You guys who watch my channel, you know I was critical of him when he was sort of lambasting black men about their decisions, their voting choices last year. But I love the fact that he is a statesman and he is decent enough to at least try to share a laugh. He could hate Trump's guts, but at the end of the day, this is what you call being a statesman. This is professional. This is being cordial. Some people will call it fake. I hate when people just automatically say it's fake. I mean, sometimes you have to put things aside. You're at a funeral, for Christ's sake. So I love the fact that these two were actually sitting and they seemed like they were having a good time. Melania looks like she about to go in the coffin. She just looks so morbid and stoic, and she just seems like she does not want to be there, which I'm sure she does not. So who's this coming in now? Oh, so this is now former President George W. Bush and his wife Laura, and they take their seat. They walk right by. Do you see the difference here? That right there, oh, that did something to me. I did not like that. Like, you walked right by. I could see Melania kind of like looking over. See Trump continues to talk with Obama, and George W. Bush and Laura, and they're talking with everybody in the back seat, the back row. It's like everybody just lit up in that moment. When people say like they don't want to be fake, so I don't blame them for not wanting to be fake. It's not about being fake, It's just about doing the right thing. And sure, they may have greeted them on the outside or something like that, but I think knowing that everybody in this room, and that, especially in those two seats, those two rows, pardon me, they know that the cameras are on them. They know that the world is watching. This would have been an appropriate time to at least be cordial. You know what I'm saying? Wow. Melania is definitely the outcast because even her husband is talking with Obama and she's just over there on the side. I feel bad for her. I really do. So we got Hillary Clinton coming in with former President Bill Clinton. And watch again. You see Karen Pence in the back. She stands up. You see George W. Bush stands up. Everybody stands up. Al Gore stands up. Everybody's shaking hands. They acknowledge him. This is so obvious. And I know Melania feels that. This is so wrong on so many levels. Hillary looks so stiff and angry. Boy, George looking like his daddy, eh? George looking like his daddy. Trump still talking with Obama. All right, the woman of the hour. Here comes Kamala and her husband, Doug. Okay, so they don't acknowledge anybody. I don't know if it's protocol for them to not acknowledge anybody. I don't know. We're about to see. Hold on, let me pause it right here. Did you see Kamala turn to the back and then she turned back very stiff-faced? So she saw Donald Trump talking with Obama. I wonder if she thinks, you know, like how, like, if you have a friend. Now, I've never been this way. I really haven't. But you know, like how if you have a friend and your friend is talking to somebody who you don't like, your enemy or whatever, and you'd be like, why are you talking to that person? She did that turn around like, Obama, what you talking to him for? And then she looked right back to the front. And her face is very, very stiff here. So how many of you think that she blames Obama for her loss or partially blames him for her loss? You know, after he got such a backlash for chiding black men, black voters. Drop your comments down below if you think that she feels like he's somewhat responsible. Let's keep going. So now Trump is talking to Melania. Thank God. Doug Emhoff is just there like, please get me out of here. I hate these duties. Hillary and Bill look like they're having a nice little discussion going on. Okay. So here comes the President of the United States, Joe Biden, and his wife, Dr. Jill Biden. They now come inside the cathedral. Let's see here. They take their seat. Ooh, that was icy. I don't know what that was that Jill took from Kamala, but that was icy. Wow. This is one sad bunch. They do not want to be there. And it's not like they don't want to be there because they're so sad about what happened to Jimmy Carter. That group of people, like, they hate each other. They look like they absolutely hate each other. You know, I wish that Melania had extended her hand to some of the people in there. Just to show how, just to be like, you know what, I'm petty like y'all. Just like I wish she had shaken somebody's hand. But I was really disappointed in, and it's funny, I would think that I'd be more disappointed in Kamala. You know, I could tell she's tight. Her face is tight. Her whole body language is tight. She's tight. But I think I'm more disappointed in Karen Pence. I really am. All the ladies seem to have something going on. Hillary looked tight. Kamala looked tight. Jill looked tight. Oh, not Laura. I give Laura a bly. I give her a pass. And you know something else that I thought about when I watched this? And I know y'all gonna crucify me, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm just gonna say it. When I look at the women and their disposition and how petty they looked, and people could say, oh, you're reading into things. Well, I am gonna read into it because, you know, I'm a body language expert, certified. But I just had this thought when I was watching them, because the men were at least decent enough to stand up and shake each other's hands and at least try to appear cordial. For me, this is why a lot of people don't like women in power. We just get too emotional, too emotionally invested that we cannot rise above it. We can't just be dignified and diplomatic. And I hate to judge a whole group of people off of these women's interactions, but this right here is proof positive as to why some people do not like women in power. They don't like them as the head. It's just too emotional. And like I said, I've been critical of Obama, but I love the fact that he really presented himself as a statesman. By the way, his wife, Michelle, was not here at the funeral, and she typically accompanies him to these state funerals. She, gets on really well with George W. Bush, so you'll see them sharing candy and a laugh or a hug or something like that. But she had a prior engagement, so they said. I don't know that she just did not want to be there, like some people were saying. And I think had she been here, to be honest with you, Michelle Obama probably would have shaken Melania's hand and been decent towards everybody else. You don't have to like people, but you could at least be cordial. My goodness. This was just really, really tacky. This has to be the most awkward Addams Family reunion ever. Of all the people in this group, and I know a lot of people were focused on Kamala Harris and they were focused on Hillary Clinton, and I focused on them too, but honestly, the person who I really was irritated with the most was Karen Pence. I really was. Last year I was in Target, came across a book that I just kind of was flipping through, and I was like, oh, this seems like a really interesting book. I didn't even look at the author's name. Come to find out, the name was Karen Pence. And she was, the book, I can't remember the name of the book, but it was about serving. And I was at the time getting ready to start serving in my church. And so I was like, oh, it's so great that I came across this book. And I didn't get it because I was like, I could get it on Amazon cheaper. But in that moment, I was like, wow, I didn't even know that she was an author. I didn't know that she wrote a book. And as I'm watching this interaction here at the cathedral, I'm like, who is this woman in the book versus this woman here? We have a tendency to hold Christians to a higher standard, and I actually believe we should be held to a higher standard because we're supposed to be spreading good in the world and doing right by people. And as I just look at her sitting here mean mugging, I don't know. Being a good, decent person doesn't just happen when somebody else is good and decent towards you. You're supposed to be good and decent even if they're not good and decent towards you. I respect her husband for, despite what he's been through, and he's had a storied history with Donald Trump, who, he served as his vice president, and he actually ran against him, but then he dropped out of the race last year. I mean, despite all that he has been through and all the crap and that Donald Trump has spoken about him and the negative things that he said, he still was decent enough to stand up and shake his hand. And honestly, he gets a lot of my respect for doing that. His wife sitting there with her face turned to the side, like, I won't even acknowledge Donald Trump and I won't even acknowledge his wife. I wasn't feeling that. I feel really sorry for Melania because she really is the outcast in all of this. And just to see how nobody even tried to be nice towards her. These are the people, ladies and gentlemen, who will come on television and tell us to be better people. Americans, we have to live as one and work as one and fight for the common good and all this stuff. And then I see these types of behaviors at the funeral. They're at the funeral of a man who was a Christian. Jimmy Carter was a Christian. And he seemed to have been loved by people on both sides of the aisle. Whew. And yet they couldn't even find it in their hearts to be civil, to be decent in this moment. Anyway, drop your comments down below. I know the funeral was a few days ago and I was like, should I do this video? And then I canned it, and then I recorded something, and then that went to hell. I had problems with my footage, and then I said, I'm going to record this again because I really I wanted to chime in on this because I just was really disappointed with the ladies in this moment. And shout out to Barack Obama for being decent enough to chat up with Donald Trump. In 2025, we're in 2025. I don't want the drama. I just don't. I don't want all this foolishness, this drama that we keep having in politics. I mean, I know it's inevitable, but I just want us to be more civil with one another, more decent with one another. Anyway, I'm really, really interested in hearing you guys' thoughts. Excuse me. Like I said, I'm just getting over a cold. But I want to hear y'all thoughts on this. Like, what did you all think about the interaction between the wives and how they treated the Trumps? Let me know down below in the comments section. And if you want to support this channel, please go into the description box, or you can scan the QR codes on the screen and it'll show you ways that you can contribute to this channel to keep us independent. And I will see you guys in my next video. I love you. Stay safe. Stay healthy.